Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It's Tuesday, September the 30th, 2025, and today's topic is going to be sketching a castle in color. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day, and I use a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. I'll start a 10-minute timer. I'm going to use reference. I just found a picture of a castle that I liked, and it's going to be in color, and I've got these Sharpie like multicolored, and like this kind, it's also Sharpie, but it's like lighter. So you can use gray markers. I don't have any, or just sketch. I mean, I'll approach it kind of like drawing. But yeah, here, this is like the idea where this is this color, and then this will be like kind of the darker one. Now I'm going to use more colors. This will just be like the initial layout, as I like to call it, or like the sketch part of it. But I'm just going to use these, the blue color, to because there's like a blue background, the sky. This is a Sharpie S Note Duo, but mainly I just wanted the lighter color. And I sketched out a frame. It's a study, but it can still be turned into something nice. And I made it this size to kind of fit the camera, but it's also kind of a good size. You can get a lot of detail, surprisingly. So yeah, if you want to follow along, or if you just kind of want to watch, or watch me kind of do a demo, or just find like a picture of a castle. There's a lot of like cool castles. So as I'm looking at this, let's establish some of the like horizon, and that's kind of the good thing about using like a light color like this, so you can kind of just get warmed up. So I'm going to use a pretty loose grip, as you can see, and and you can also use a pencil to do this, but I'm using a light color anyway. So this is just the composition part, and what I like to do is just sort of divide, because the picture has that's one, if you're kind of doing a lot of different things, like here I'm using this color, so I don't really want to try to imagine too much. So that's why it's good to use reference, because it has the composition, it has like the color. Because really right now I'm kind of just thinking about what these colors are going to do and like how I'm going to color it. So as I do this is just, again, not really even thinking about the perspective, thinking about the composition. But as I do this, like that's already like a box, so that already kind of gives me, and I can see that it's going underneath here, so I can kind of guess and sort of see that this is the horizon right here, because I'm looking up at this tower thing. And I'm using reference, but I'm not really going to try to copy it. If I leave stuff out, I will. I'm going to keep it kind of simple. So for example, there's this form right here. So that's like a pyramid. And then here's a rectangle or a cube kind of thing. And then you've got like a triangle right here for a pyramid. So if I change it up, so I'm not like, this doesn't look exactly like the reference, but that's okay. And then some kind of chimney thing, so that's like another. So I'm not going to worry too much about like the perspective, as long as I get the form. And then this pyramid, and then we've got like a box right here. And as far as like the vanishing, so it is from reference, so I'm just gonna copy like the perspective, meaning I'm just gonna copy the outline, like right here, like the silhouette. Part of it is perspective, I guess. If you really wanted to know, it's kind of going like this, but it's also just the shape of it, like this. So that's kind of like the basic look of it. And then like a smaller, so I can see like underneath this, meaning like I can see the shadow underneath it. So yeah, I'm going to keep it kind of simple. And it doesn't look exactly like it. Alright. And then there's this. So part of this is just like interesting shapes. So this is sort of angular. So then I'll just go with something more rounded for the foliage. And then right here, you've got some kind of, you start to see a little, so if this is the horizon, you start to see a little bit of like the top of whatever is like right here, like a wall or like a well or whatever. Like you start to see like the top of it a little bit. Kind of like here, you start to see underneath it a little bit. And then there's a reflection like this. And then just a bunch of like foliage that sort of blends in. And then some trees back here. So that's like the basic composition to sort of establish the light. So that's like the basic sketch, and you can pretty much like paint that up if you want, or draw it, like detail it. So then I'll go in with this one that's like darker, still keeping a loose grip, still keeping like the same kind of feel, but I'm gonna start kind of like shading it basically just to get like the light and dark. So for example, so I'm gonna squint at the reference and see that one, I might just go over this dark area again, and I'll just make it that much darker. So like this, and start to go into a little bit of the like the final look in a way, like leading into like the detail. Meaning some things may leave, like I might just leave, or I might add detail, but it's like that's like the look of it, or like the shape of it, or like the drawing of it. Like that. So yeah, I'm kind of squinting because I'm using this to kind of define. There's other like little shapes. So there's like that dark shape, kind of like this. And if I really wanted to be a little bit more careful, I might go in with the original sort of light color and do this. And that's a little bit more careful. And what I mean by that is, since this is dark, if I go like dark here, I can't really make it lighter, and that's just because of markers, unless I decide I'm going to paint over it or something. Like right here, you can kind of see the, I'm going to stick with like, kind of imply like the perspective. It's going like towards that horizon right there. So I'm squinting at the reference, I'm squinting at the sketch. This roof looks a little different, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with what I've got here. Like that's supposed to be like this. That's really what this part is. It's really not that difficult. The values, I like to keep them going together, and what I mean by that is the white of the paper is a value, and then this is that original blue color. Let me go switch back to it. As I draw on it like this, like that's the second value, because you have the white of the paper and then you have this color. It could also be ink or pencil, so that's the second value. So there's really just two. But if you do this, that introduced like a third one. And then this is the fourth one, which is to say like the darkest value, if that makes sense. So I just introduced like the darkest value. What I mean by keeping things relative, or I think it's called like the key of the picture. If this is always kept as the dark, then it'll look correct. But let's say if I introduce like something darker, in some way, it could be black or like a darker color or something, because I'm okay with this being the darkest color, like if you look at it. And then after that, it would just be detail. You could actually draw that better, or like more detailed. But like as far as like the value and the color and stuff, like that could be the darkest. So for example, like right here, Like that would be like the shadow or like the darkest or like a cast shadow or something. But that's like the fourth value in this particular like pattern, value pattern. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I like to keep everything kind of going in the same. See, like this is the third value. So the white of the paper, the line is the second value. The third is like that. Like I call it the third. And then this is like the fourth or like the darkest value. Now as you work on it, the white of the paper could become the highlight. So I guess I'll just use this as kind of an example. So the white of the paper is a value. And then when you draw something, let's draw like a box right here. I'll just end the video on this. I mean, it's helpful for me to kind of go over too. So you have two values here. You have the white and then you have the line right here. And this could be anything. This could be a pencil. Let's say you establish like the light and dark. You could just do a drawing like this and not worry about it. But let's say you want to establish like a light and dark. So I'll go with this where I'll just do this. That's called hatching. And so I introduced a third value right there. So you have 1, 2, and then that's your third one. If I go like this, like now that's like the darkest area, obviously. So that's like a fourth one. Like for example, when I say to build things up gradually, I just mean I could go back to this one and decide to do this if I'm not sure. It's always in a way like safer to do the lighter color or like the lighter value. And so notice that even though I fill that in, it matches this more like that third value than like the darkest, because I can use that. That's how like I use values anyway. There's more to it, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with this castle, but that's like the idea behind it. Yeah, that was kind of, I didn't mean to like necessarily go into that, but it plays into it. And if color gets kind of confusing, I mean, I'm keeping it also basic, the colors also, like the palette and everything, but you can just do like black and white. I mostly do, like 80% of what I do is going to be like pen and ink anyway. Or if pen and ink is a little too complicated, then just stick with pencil for a while. That's what I did for many years. So I'll keep working on this tomorrow. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.